Andrew McCart, IFLTV, delighted once again. It's been a while since I've spoken to Mr. George Groves. How are you, sir?
I'm really good, really good. Up in Newcastle, having a good time. My lad Lucas Rorich just boxed, just won. So yeah, really good. He's at that stage now where he's done a few rounds. He's fine. He's going to go out and celebrate. Yeah, he got to go and do I don't know, a press conference or a piss test or something else. So
yeah, chill.
He can rest now. He can chill.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's talk about him. I said to him, like, 22 years old, and this is probably a good question for you because I asked him the same question. It was 22 years old. You're 5-0 now. You're still young, but you're in a division. Although it's not the heavyweights, it's still cruiserweight, and they're big boys. They can bang, and one punch cannot just change a fight. It can change a career. So for you, George, being a coach manager for Lucas, how difficult is it for you to manage him in terms of fights and get him the right opponents at this stage in his career? Because like I say, he's only 22, but he is in with the big boys.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, of course, and he's getting a bit of a name for himself, and therefore there's, people are turning him down. And there is a lot of decent Brits at the moment in and around his level, or maybe just one step up, like your Vidal Riley, or your sort of championship level. So sooner or later, these guys are going to have to come across each other, going to have to box each other. And the opponents, sometimes they're hard to find. The chap in here tonight, there was literally no footage of him online we could find, or I could find at least. No one can send me anything. They send you like rogue links to like Facebook. I haven't got Facebook anymore. I was going to sign up Facebook to watch it. It turns out by the time you finally get the video on, it's just him hitting the speedball for 13 seconds. You're like, oh, that was not worth my while. But I like that about this stage of his career, developing. You've got to just experience. You've got to open your fire up to as many experiences as possible, and that's what we're doing. He's touring the country, looking for sparring, finding top quality sparring. He's been in there with the best in the division. Opataya, he's been in with Badu Jack, he's been in with Chris Billum Smith, he's been in with, the Vidal Rileys and your Isaac Chamberlains. He's put in the rounds, but we're in the gym every day drilling for the future. Right now, keeping him busy. He's 5-0 and. In 7 months he's had 5 fights. He's boxing again in 3 weeks' time. So keep busy, fighting guys who are coming to win, or got winning records, not winning records with 10 wins and 8 knockout defeats either. This guy's never been stopped before. So I know that it's going to be tough for him, and he's got to work on his mentality, his mental side of it as much as physical side of it, because he wants to tear their head off, he wants to hurt them, but you've got to take your time, you've got to set that up, you've got to create the openings, and then you've got to put your foot on the gas when the time is right. But so far, he's had a brilliant start to his career. I'm over the moon with him. Another fantastic performance from tonight.
Well, you mentioned all them names there. You mentioned Jaya Pataya, Badu Jack, you mentioned Vidal Rileys. They're all well ahead in their careers right now. They're world champions, unified champions, British champions. When do you let that guy off the leash then? When is it the time for him to make an assault on that division? Maybe the British title. When is that time?
Yeah, I mean, he's been pro 6 months, He's only 22 years of age, and he's had a very good amateur career. He had 50-odd fights, but not like myself, where I've started boxing at 10 years of age. I won every championship as a kid. I travelled the world for England. I captained England youth, England cadets, young England, won 2 ABA titles. So by the time I stepped into the pros, I had a lot more international experience at least than Lucas has. So we'll be patient there, but we're working him hard. I would be shocked if he's not ready to fight for a championship, a British or Commonwealth title in 12 months' time. So, and that's not him saying, he's going to beat Vidal Riley or whoever else is the British champion in 12 months' time. That's just me saying he's going to be a 12-round fighter in 12 months' time, would be my estimation. But at the same time, we don't need to rush him. We don't need to rush him. At the moment, I'm trying to keep him as busy and active as possible, expose him to as many different, work within the gym, but also opponents. And he's been managed quite hard. Joel McIntyre in his debut, coming up from light heavyweight, but tough guy, came. He had an American in his last fight, came over, never been stopped. Wouldn't have passed VADA, that's for certain. And he took the licks. And at the moment he's probably a fighter who, in 2 years' time, he's gonna look enormous. He's still filling out, he's still growing, and also just improving. So. Yeah, his time certainly to come, but we don't need to rush him.
I like you said he's still filling out, and he's going to be enormous, because I asked him the question. I said, we've seen guys like Evander Holyfield and Usyk and Jaya Pataya. He's talking about moving up, and we have seen cruiserweights once they've cleared out a division or they've had enough of a division, they go up to that money division. I call it the money division because let's be honest, the heavyweights, you make money. Can you see Lucas? Can he fill out to the point where he can step into that heavyweight scene? Because he's 6'2", and he's...
Maybe. He's got to fill out into a cruiserweight first. Once he's done that, then and he's took over the world as a cruiserweight, then we'll look at who's above him. But Usyk is a phenomenal fighter. He's obviously done it of late. Van der Holyfield before him, phenomenal fighter. Maybe the heavyweights weren't quite as big as they are today as they were in Holyfield's
But do you think there's a perfect size heavyweight? Do you think that 6'3", the Dubois size, the Usyk size, that's the perfect size heavyweight? Because he fits in quite nicely, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's youthful. He's youthful. He's long and lean still, but he's a fast twitch muscle fiber guy. He's an alpha male. He's an 8-time. He will swell. He's gonna come, and he might not fill out till. It might take 5 years to fill him out, but then we might have a problem. So I'm like, actually, you are getting a bit too big for cruiserweight. Got to look at, do we stay here, do we go up? But right now, he's good. We went to the Brazilian steakhouse on Thursday, right? It's all you can eat meat buffet. The day before his weigh-in, very different from my day before weigh-in. Yeah. My day before weigh-in, I did eat, but I ate with caution, and I ate with dread because I knew that night, in the morning, I had to do some suffering. He comes back, he's probably lighter than before he went, so he's winning at that stage. And it makes my life easy as a coach.
Well, one final one before I let you go. You mentioned there you've done it all as an amateur. I followed your professional career, you've done it all. You became a world champion, you fought in some of the biggest fights, domestic clashes as well. How are you enjoying the coaching? Because you've done it all. You've done the podcasting, you've done the fighting, but now you stepped into a realm where you're trying to bring on a fighter and basically to follow in your footsteps in a way to get that world title, because you know yourself firsthand how difficult it is to become a world champion. So how are you finding the coaching and the management right now?
I love it. I think it would always have been my calling. At some point I would have gravitated towards it. Who would have been the person for me to have made that leap and that commitment to becoming a coach, which is a full-time job, you're back in the gym day in, day out? It would have been Lucas, because I had a connection with him. He's from my amateur club. I'd seen him and I believe in him. I haven't stumbled into it. I haven't tried to, piggyback on someone else's coaching career and be an assistant coach. That would be the logical way to do it, where you go and you learn. But I was always a fighter who's in the gym paying attention to everything, and I ended up being self-managed from, for the last 6 years of my career, I think it was, and also worked with some really elite coaches, Adam Booth, Paddy Fitzpatrick, Shane McGuigan. So, I picked up stuff from those guys, and also, I travelled the world. I was in the gym with Golovkin watching Abel Sanchez. I've been in the gym with, Andre Durrell and watching his, I think it was his uncle who's his coach. And the whole time you have to, as a coach, you have to know that you don't know everything. Yeah. There is plenty to learn, but at the same time, I don't have to guess a lot of stuff about how my fighter is feeling, what he's going through, what to expect. I know what it's like to fight in your 5th fight, to travel away from home, spend the night, in a hotel for the week. I know what it's like in the changing room. I know what it's like when you ring walk. I know what it's like when you get punched in the face. I know what it's like to be frustrated because you want to chin the guy and you can't get hold of him. Yeah. I know it all. In that regard, through experiencing it. And I was fortunate enough to ring walk in front of 80,000 people and get knocked out. Like, there ain't many people out there who can say they did
fortunate.
That. So,
They say fortunate.
Fortunate. I would love to have not been knocked out, but that happened. But essentially, if I'm trying to pass on a bit of wisdom, and it is wisdom, to someone else, I can tell you what it's like, what to expect. And, I try and have that brain who tries to process stuff in the moment, of course, but then after, and to try and become better. I was doing that throughout my boxing career, and now I'm doing it throughout my coaching career. And I've been in the gym with the amateurs for a long time now, and figuring them out. And they're not all the same. And some amateurs I can't coach. So I'm like, I can't show you anything because we're just so different. And I understand that as a coach as well. I found a fighter in Lucas who I believe I can mould into a fighter the fighter that I would have wanted to be, who I at times was, and someone who has faith in me and teachable. So it's a process. It's a process. We've had that honeymoon period at the start where we're flying. We've had the big debut win, and now it's like make sure we're not sick of the sight of each other. We're in the gym grinding, working hard, I've got a great little team now. You know, Josh Burnham is in the corner. Josh, who I knew from my amateur days as well, helps me out. He does the cuts. Luke Ramos in the corner with me, one of my oldest friends, one of my best friends. Got his coaching license. He's in the gym. He's like big brother in Lucas, and maybe others in the future. So that was great, man. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I think I've got a lot to give, and I want to test myself and be up there and achieve like some of the other guys, ex-fighters who are doing it now, like your Andy Crollers, your Andy Lees. I always thought these guys had great boxing brains, and now they're converting that into coaching, and they're having success. So I'm following their footsteps.
George, I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you, my
Lovely.
man. Thank you
Cheers,
so
mate.
much.
Nice
I'll see you in the
one.
next one. Thank you,
Appreciate
George.
it.
Thank
Cool.
you.